Oh Lord, I'm on a permanent holiday. I'm going outside to play. I ain't gonna slave away. Not for no corporate Babylon.
Boom. That.
Beautiful.
Liquid courage, man.
No, it's okay.
Plus, it's my day off. Like you said.
Yeah, it's your day off, man. Do it your way.
Are you sure you don't want one?
Positive.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a. It's yeah.
It's still really.
I also don't really. I think we have one thing you and I have in common. I don't really have an off button. So if I start, I'm not going to stop. So
yeah.
I know.
That's why I switched to this, because I was like doing the tequila shot after shot after shot, and I ended up in the hospital.
Oh, I'm
like
so sorry.
3 times.
Yeah.
Pancreatitis.
Yeah.
And then I just realized it wasn't just how much I was drinking, it's how I was drinking.
Yes.
I wasn't having anything to eat all day.
Yeah.
Then I would have 2 shots at the end of my shift at the bar, then get home, maybe eat a little bit while I was polishing off a half a bottle a night.
Or not, and,
then,
you weren't aware of what you were even eating, right?
And
it
then,
wasn't like a thing.
Eat at the end.
Yeah.
Once I'm like super, toasted and drunk.
Yeah.
And that liquor straight to the liver without any food. Yeah. And then you eat a little bit or a lot at the end.
Yeah,
That's not how.
And then go to sleep.
So now,
Yeah.
Dude.
It's terrible.
It was the pain that woke me up every time. Just a little bit in the center the first 2 times. And then it got so severe that I couldn't take it anymore. I had to go to the emergency room all 3 times. And the third time was like more to the left. But after that, I was like, all right, I got to make it some sort of a change. So I started eating throughout the day.
Yes.
And then either I'm drinking wine or just sipping.
Yes. Lots of ice, which is smart. I noticed the lots of ice. I do lots of ice.
Sipping.
Yeah.
Not fucking shot after shot after shot. Yeah. So, yeah. So I just, what do you want to start with? I mean, I was thinking, I wanted to find out, like, I know you've told me a bunch about it before.
Okay.
But I wanted to kind of, because I didn't remember the name of the place. You said it doesn't exist anymore, where you used to work.
So, okay, we'll start that story. So when I was 18 years old, and everybody was going off to college, I did not have that as an option. So I went.
What do you mean, like?
There was no money for college. My parents.
I see.
We didn't have any money. And they had not. There was no college money, so it was time. I had to go. I had to get out of the place.
Now, were you like would you have been a college? Because like for me, even if it was an option, which it kind of was, it was never a thing for me. Like it was never a college.
I wanted to. I wanted to really bad. I had an idea. I was an arts kid. I wanted to paint and draw for a living. It was Cornish here in Seattle was an option. I applied for a scholarship. It didn't, I don't know if I ever actually filled out the right paperwork. There was not a lot of interaction with anybody, counselors or anything, moving me towards any direction like that. I'd already worked a lot as a kid. Yeah. And so I just knew I was going to have to go to work. So I applied at a grocery store that was opening up on 105th and Aurora called Larry's Markets in 1986. And it was a family-owned grocery store that was just changing their formatting to be what would now be like Whole Foods back, but it was 86. So they built this huge 60,000 square foot grocery store that with super high ceilings, you got a free dozen eggs with $10 of groceries. All the orders were run out by carryouts. It was a nice store. It was clean. It had everything you could possibly imagine. And then when it continued to expand, they put in like a patisserie. They had a massive wine section. They had a big humidor in one of them. They had they smoked all their own meats.
Humidor like cigars?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
They expanded. They were kind of a really high-end grocery store for Seattle, and kind of also had some kind of P.T. Barnum vibes that they did. You know, they did a huge Bastille Day with these gigantic, like 40-foot French flags through the whole thing, and they had wine sales all through the whole month. They were really good at that. So for them, I started as a carryout.
So there was no shopping in store?
There was shopping, you could shop in the store, but it was just, there's not really anything that's comparable left like it, except for Whole Foods is close, but it's nothing's like the kind of show that Larry's did.
That sounds amazing.
It was really cool. It really was cool. And that's where I worked. I worked in a bakery there. I worked in a thing they called the kiosk. We made our own soup. We made our own sandwiches, but they had, I think, 130 different varieties of cheese. They had massive meat counter, and this is before any of this stuff. Dealer Rennie's was like, it was like triple Dealer Rennie's, the amount of stuff just in the cheese department.
Man, that sounds like a Toys R Us for me, man.
Exactly. And as a kid, that I was always into food, but just to be exposed to all of this stuff was really fun, and
just the variety, like.
And I was so interested too.
Yeah.
And this is before, right? There was cookbooks, but there was not very many food magazines. There was not much food television. There was no internet. There was none of that. So it was just massive, just swamped with exposure. And you could take home. This is back in the old days where they would just give you samples. I would take home boxes of this stuff. And my wife, when I met my wife, she is from Colorado, and she opened up our fridge when she'd come over, and I had like 6 varieties of green salsa. Wow. And she was like, "Who is this guy?" And so it was just exposure, and then so what I wound up working is in specialty foods, which was everything from all over the world. And like I say, you get to take it home for free, so I'd cook all the time. And that's when I was in art school. I finally started putting myself through art school. I did 2 years of art school. I also did a year at Western Washington University, which I just really wanted to spend a year in college. Yeah. And it was so not me. I was a destroyer of worlds when I was in college. I wasn't meant to be there. And although I had a wonderful time, I think
How do you mean you were a destroyer?
The people that spent time with me didn't do well in school. And I was hardly going. I went to my art classes, everything else I was there too. I was there to have a good time.
So were you like partying a lot?
Yeah, that's all I did really. Yeah. And I paid for it, so I figured this is my vacation.
So what are we talking here? Just drinking or
a little everything?
Everything.
Yeah. No, a little everything.
Okay.
There's like I say, I was an art student.
Okay,
and I wound up in restaurants, so it's a little bit of everything.
But I don't know, like a lot of people, like they go to art school and then do all this, but they never touch anything. So
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I learned my lesson, and I got older, and really, when I started having kids, when I first had my son, is when or my wife actually got pregnant. It was really, really time to scale back and be,
a little more adulting.
Yeah, and also I always, I think also another thing with a lot of people in the restaurant world is we're not always the best at moderation.
No.
And we're not the best at like eat your vegetables, right? So I've had health scares, and so now I'm 57, and I really, really, really try to control myself for myself and others.
You seem like you're doing pretty good. You look good.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, I'm relatively healthy. I'm on a lot of, right? You got to take blood pressure meds.
Oh, wow.
And I take all that stuff. I got it genetically. Got some high blood pressure, but it's just you can't eat cheese and pepperoni out of the case all day long. and
especially when you have it ready available right there.
And then have 6 drinks and go to bed. I mean, it's just not surprisingly enough. That's not a great physical diet.
No.
Yeah, for longevity. And so yeah, that was my beginning with food.
But you can like kind of counteract the genetic stuff with doing the healthy stuff.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Even if you get it genetically, if you're going and eating right, and it doesn't have to be boring food.
Not at all. Not at all.
Healthy stuff. It's delicious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tomato,
Almost
cucumber.
all of Asia is vegetarian.
Yeah,
So you can eat a ton of great
India
food. All of Asia.
Yeah.
The whole thing. So you can eat. Actually, most of the world is pretty low meat. So you get out of the U.S. and Europe, and you could eat healthier.
Yeah.
In fact, I always remember that's one of the stories they say is that if you want to take an American recipe and make it a French recipe, you just double the vegetables.
I don't know. The French love
They love their cream and butter, but
Yeah.
they're usually a little. Meat is more expensive most of the world.
Yeah.
And their chickens don't weigh 8 pounds like ours do.
But no, they got lamb. Back home we love our lamb, man.
Sure.
If it's a big party, we just get a fresh. Go grab that lamb.
Yeah.
And,
all year round?
Is
it a seasonal thing?
No, if it's like a special occasion and a lot of people are gathering, they hang that thing upside down.
Yeah.
Drain the blood.
Yep.
And it's so fresh.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
You're not getting it from the grocery store. You don't know when it was killed. Like,
do they do like boudin sausage? Do they do any blood?
Boudin?
Out of the lamb blood?
I wish I could tell you that I have that much knowledge of Georgian cuisine that I know, but not that I've seen. But again, I haven't been in such a long time that I wouldn't be surprised because most countries do.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Black
I would if I had to, I would guess that we have some sort of variation of it.
Sure.
But I really honestly don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But hey, you were talking like back then there wasn't that much food TV.
Correct.
Was the Galloping Gourmet on?
So Galloping Gourmet was maybe like my childhood.
Okay.
And then
I love that dude, man.
Oh yeah.
The guy was fucking amazing.
Graham Pear.
Yeah.
And he actually wound up being in the Seattle area, I think.
Oh really?
And near the end. Watched Julia Child and Galloping Gourmet were like, they were on PBS.
So he was that.
So I could
that
watch
far
that
back.
stuff. Yeah, he's a little bit more 70s. He came back later.
Fucking bow tie.
He came back later, and he was all like, I don't know if you know, and then he got like vegan, and he did all this stuff with like almond creams and foams and stuff. Yeah, and he's trying to eat all healthy.
Okay.
And I was like, and then after him, there was a guy that was local, and his name's Jeff Smith, and he was called the Frugal Gourmet, and he was also on PBS, and I used to watch him all the time. And he used to shop at the Pike Place Market. And I used to, when my kids were little, I'd go down to the market. I still probably go down to the Pike Place Market almost every week. And so I was down there with my kids. I'd bring my kids with me. And I ran into him a couple times there and a couple times in the grocery store. And he got...
that's got to be cool.
He got kind of ostracized. He got in kind of a pickle with some of his assistants. Kind of before Me Too, he kind of got Me Too'd for being too touchy with his assistants but male assistants, and he was if I remember right, he was a Jesuit. I think he was either a Jesuit priest or was a professor at Seattle Pacific University.
Damn.
But yeah, he has a lot of cookbooks. He was the guy that in the very beginning, he's probably the very first guy locally that I started collecting cookbooks from.
So what?
But I still have
what
one.
gourmet?
He's called the Frugal Gourmet.
Frugal, and what was his name again?
Jeff Smith. Jeffrey Smith.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's a local guy, huh?
He's a local guy. Yeah, I was because I don't mostly if you wanted to watch food television, it was PBS. That's who would have it on. I mean, you'd get Lydia Bastianich back in the day.
Oh, I had no idea she did.
She's awesome.
I only learned of her from the Master Chef program. And Joe Bastianich is like one of the judges.
Yeah, it's her son.
And actually, it's a pretty cool show.
It is.
But I got introduced to her through that. But I had no idea she did TV back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's an early adopter.
I learned that she's a master, like at the craft.
Yeah. No, she's the real thing. No, I loved her.
That's really cool.
But yeah, I don't watch all that stuff. There was also a show that would kind of go into kitchens and they'd have a chef cook up.
Great Chefs of America.
Was that what it was called?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
And they'd go in and they'd show.
They had Great Chefs of America and Great Chefs of the World.
I remember the
They had
America
both.
because they'd go to like an area. They'd go to like New Mexico. Today we're in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And they do 3 restaurants
and
in a row.
it's super quiet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's always close up
I
to
love
the
that
fire.
program, man. Yeah.
I love that show. When the show kind of left for me, it was maybe like season 3 or 4, where right, because I now understand. I sympathize with the chefs. They said, we have a 2-minute segment for you. You have to cook us something in 90 seconds. So almost everybody was always sea scallops.
You can't just
shrink
it down to 90
every
seconds.
single time. It was like, well, what can I do in 90? Oh, I can sear sea scallops. So
Yeah.
it's like, they put them in the pan, and they flip them, and then serve it with whatever different sauce for each.
Just take the time to film it and then edit it down to 90.
You'd imagine. But they wanted to have that kind of real-time thing, I think, for people to kind of understand it.
I get that.
Yeah.
I saw Bobby Flay on there.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I had no
days.
idea that he
I
was
didn't know he
cooking for that long.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, right out of high school.
Yeah, man.
Well, because he left high school, if I remember his story right. He didn't have the mind for school, and he's like, I can't do this. So he went to a kitchen. Just one of those kids that everybody they want to put him on meds and calm him down, and he said, I don't want that. So he went and started cooking, and he found where he could be productive was in a kitchen, and he's been cooking since he was a kid.
I was like that always as well. Like, never classroom kid. Like, maybe like with my teacher with math, he was like super. He was like a master of math, man. The way he explained it, and I kind of always loved math, and English a little bit, history a little bit. But then once I got to cooking school, I was like,
this makes sense.
Mesmerized, man. Like I was looking forward to getting in the classroom, and then going into the kitchen and make that shit. Like it was, I just couldn't get enough.
Yeah.
And that was just natural. And I think it's like with everyone, it's the same. If you're interested in the subject, you can be the classroom kid as well.
Exactly.
But if you're just not a classroom kid in general, most of the stuff is you're gonna be like slacking off, being bored, falling asleep. But if it's something of interest, I think we can.
And the direct, and directly, like you do something and you directly have positive feedback. Yeah, there's no Scantron to send off.
Plus, like with cooking, it was like in the classroom as well. They have the mirrors that look down onto the range, and then you're looking in front as well. So you have two sights, as well as it's very hands-on. So you're getting to see what they're doing.
Sure.
So it's not just like theory.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, so you were in the so you worked at this
grocery store.
Yeah.
And
man, I don't understand why no other grocery since has taken that format and because it sounds
and ran
like
with it.
I would love to shop there.
It's a strange story. The guy, he retired. Larry McKinney was his name. His son took over the business. His son had a really nasty divorce. His son did not run the company the way he had run it. About that, then is when I left, and then not long after that, the company went out of business because it just had mismanaged itself. And then I guess I would go back to say, because you were talking about like kind of the joy of cooking.
Yeah.
I always tell the story. The story I always tell about that for me was when I was in high school. I used to sometimes throw parties at my parents' house when they were out of town. And I'd have I'd have 80, 100 people there.
Doing it up.
We'd really
That's a lot
cause
of
some
people,
trouble.
Yeah.
And my deal, even back then, was the next day after the party, I would ask anybody who wanted to come over the next day and help me clean, and then I would cook dinner.
Hell yeah.
And I would have 20 people in the house, and I'd always make spaghetti and meatballs.
That's a good incentive,
Yeah. And then I'd buy a whole bunch of wine, and we'd have a big family meal.
Yeah.
And that was just a thing. Food was always a big thing for me when I was a kid. I had 3 siblings, and food was love in our house, and we didn't. My mom was not a natural cook. She did not like cooking. So we all learned how to cook very young, and we did it for each other. And so it was food was a big deal. So after Larry's and after I left the grocery store, I spent the next decade at home as a stay-at-home dad. And during that time, I made my kids baby food, and I started really intensive gardening because I have a huge garden, and really paying attention to growing cycles and seasonality. As a kid, my grandparents had taken me, they lived in Bellingham, they'd take me into the Skagit Valley all the time to pick up berries and plants when I was a kid. So I took my kids to farms all the time. I'd met a lot of farmers. The last decade I was at Larry's, I was in produce. And back in that particular time in the Northwest, a lot of these independent farmers would also be the delivery drivers. So I'd get to check in the product, and I get to talk to them. And like,
you're talking to the owners.
Yeah. I'm talking to the farmer. The guy who just planted is the guy driving the truck into the city to sell it.
Wow.
And so Andrew Stout, who runs Full Circle Farms, I got to meet him when he was probably just a few years older than me. Robin at Riverview Ranch, which was a huge herb farm up right at the base of Snoqualmie Falls. I don't think she does it anymore.
Okay.
I think she's gone. Some real characters. There was a guy that grew wheatgrass, Warren the Wheatgrass Man, and he lived he lived in a trailer way up like Index, I think, and he had a huge greenhouse that he grew wheatgrass in, and he was and he had a little he had a side grow operation, and he was just a fascinating dude. He was so funny. But I got to meet a lot of these farmers, and then I got to go, and then I'd go visit them. Yeah. And Jubilee Farms, oh my gosh, just wonderful people. And they're all, strong work ethic and much like a lot of the people that are attracted to the restaurant industry, also not made for other places. They're made to be out there working hard and low interaction with people.
Yeah.
And that's why we got along. I got along with all these people. So then, that's what we did. And now I can say my daughter is now farmed over almost all over the planet.
Oh my God.
Now, so
she was just a few times I met her. She was bringing all this amazing stuff.
Now she's been all over. She's gardened, or she's farmed all over Asia, all over South America.
Whoa.
And then she looks like she's going to spend 2 years in Madagascar here at the end.
Holy shit.
It come fall, farming up in the hills of Madagascar. That's she got the farming thing. And that's also right. Just like that's really the basis of all food, right? It's the farmers.
Dude, that's amazing. The hearing just Madagascar reminded me of. So when I was in Panama, we went to this sanctuary, and it was amazing. This orchid sanctuary.
Cool.
And I had no fucking idea. I've been cooking with this stuff all my life, smelling it all my life. No idea vanilla.
Yeah.
It comes from a fucking orchid plant.
Yeah.
And and like I saw it on the tree, and it's like everything is pretty much a rainforest, and
you're like, wait a minute,
little pods of vanilla beans, just man, it's so amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah,
it's exactly. I get excited about that stuff too. It's dorky, but it's fun, right?
Not to me, man. I mean, I guess it is.
And I think watching the stuff grow and how it grows and why it grows, and what could be more interesting?
You wouldn't. I mean, I would have never in a million years thought that. Okay, vanilla is coming from a flower. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. You just don't put it together. Exactly.
Yeah. Like,
And most
you would
people
think
don't,
like maybe
right?
off of some other plant, but like never off of a orchid.
The first time
plant.
I saw an asparagus fern, I was like, "Wait, asparagus is a fern?"
I never knew that either.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
learning that right now.
There's those little tips, the little top.
Yeah.
Each one of those springs out on a little tiny tendril and becomes this fern.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they'll sell it. If you'll get asparagus fern, sometimes they'll sell kind of a dwarf version of it for potted plants because it looks like a little baby fern.
Well, it kind of makes sense because like when you're cutting, sometimes when you get asparagus in, the bottom part of it is like super thick.
It gets
and
woody,
I've always wondered about that, and now it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's got to support this big ass fern. They get like 6-7 feet tall.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I've got it in my yard. Yeah,
But
doesn't
yeah,
do
another
well in
thing
Western Washington.
I never even knew about until your place was lemon verbena. Like,
Yeah.
I've always known lemon.
Yep.
I've known about the Buddha hand lemon,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
never
yeah.
even heard of lemon verbena. That was another amazing one for me.
Like sorrel, right? Like, but you know sorrel, which is right. Then you're getting the lemon, you're getting citrus from
Crazy. That's
from
so
just
cool.
another plant, so
Yeah.
similar acids.
And it's almost like not the same. but
Correct,
it's
exactly. But somehow the
right
plants,
there, yeah.
the plants put a little flavor out there for everybody. They like to spread it around the globe.
But then you have like going into like lemon time, chocolate time.
Oh yeah,
Dude, the chocolate time actually like
it's weird.
it smells
isn't
like
it?
chocolate.
Yeah,
Like, what the
yeah.
fuck happened?
Yeah, it's crazy. There's oh my gosh, what is that thing called? There's a chocolate flower. Which is the chocolate flower? And it smells like chocolate. Yeah, an anemone, I think. You don't haven't had a cigarette in so long. I'll have one. Thank you.
Oh yeah. So you worked at Larry's, you said. How
I
many?
worked for Larry's for 17 years.
17 years, man. Holy shit.
Yep.
So you I remember you telling me that you were, you got it down to a science running the place. So
Yeah,
you had some downtime where you would get a lot of your knowledge
Reading
from
books.
from the books, right?
Yes, there was inside of Larry's, there was a department called Essentials. And Essentials was pots and pans and the cards and the tea towels and all the stuff you see in normal grocery store. Now you'll see in high-end grocery stores, I should say, where they'll have you'll have access to cooking things and cutesy cards and tablecloths and stuff like that. And so we had a department like that also had a library in it. And it carried a lot of, there's books of the times.
So you said 60,000 square feet. I'm not very good with imagining. Is that like a Costco size?
So 60 is smaller than a Costco, but like a really big Safeway.
Okay.
Maybe even
like a Fred Meyer.
Closer, in between a Fred Meyer and a Safeway.
Okay.
It was they were big. If you've ever been to that, it was an H Mart for a while on 105th and Aurora. They changed into it.
99?
And
Ranch 99?
No. The one, it's on 105th and Aurora. And it's a weird spot. And they turned it into like 3 grocery stores on the interior because it's just gigantic.
Huh.
It's a big store. And in fact, the one in Bellevue, I think, was 70,000.
So it's still there, this thing?
The building is still there.
But it is
No
grocery
longer.
stores?
And I think it's actually completely boarded up now.
Oh,
I think
okay,
H Mart went under. It became another, like I say, it became kind of multiple things, and they had it kind of divided. It was really strange, but I think it's gone.
Huh. That's funny because, like, on the East Coast, we still got H Marts.
There are H Marts around here. I just think that location is hard. That section of Aurora has been hit hard. If you've been in that section of Aurora in Seattle,
I can't imagine where you're talking.
There's a lot of street prostitution and a lot of.
Oh, so you're talking more south?
Oh yeah, almost to this. Yeah, it's right on your way to Green Lake if you're heading down Aurora.
Okay.
There's an IHOP. There's an old.
You talking about where the Taco Bell is?
It's close to that Taco Bell. That Taco Bell I think is 185th.
Okay.
If you're in Shoreline, no, that's like 145th. You got to go way down into the city on Aurora.
Okay.
You should do it sometime. It's fascinating. That section of Aurora from like 150.
I used to
miles.
take that road to get to when I was at Rock Creek.
Yeah.
Seafood and Spirits. So I used to take that route all the time, and yeah, I'd be passing those.
Yeah, it's the roughness.
I'd be passing those ladies at like
Yeah,
almost
yeah,
every
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
But like like you honk at them, they wave like that.
Absolutely.
Like
We used to
friendly.
have them buy us beer. Back when I was 18, we'd pull over and
Fuck
say,
yeah.
and a car full of 18-year-old guys, and we'd say, hey, you want to make a quick $10 and take a couple beers with you? Yeah.
That's great.
And where the Home Depot is now, that used to be a trailer park. And that's where my sister lived when I was a kid. Yeah, right where
So that lot used to be.
that used to be a big trailer park
Okay.
right there, yeah.
Okay.
Back in the day. Yep, and my sister lived in an apartment right there. When I used to go, I used to go hang out with her. When I was she's 11 years older than me.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd hang out with her sometimes. Right
So are you in the middle?
I'm the last. I'm the
You're the
youngest.
youngest?
I'm the kid.
Oh, you're the spoiled one.
And my next older brother is 6 years older than me. So there's a long gap. And then there was me.
So were you unexpected?
I'm sure I was. I have to have been. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think anybody that had 3 kids wanted a 4th after 6 years. And my parents by then, they were in their mid-30s.
I mean, you never know. I don't know.
I think they were. Probably.
Um,
They probably had some questions in the beginning.
So how about after Larry's then?
After Larry's, like I say, I became a stay-at-home dad.
Oh, that's right. For the next 10 years?
For 10 years, and then
Okay.
during that time, I did a couple things. I
got into gardening a lot?
I did that, and then also I had a couple that I helped out with
That's
taking care of their properties,
That's right.
and they were very wealthy, and they lived in Laurelhurst, and they had 2 houses
Laurelhurst?
in Laurelhurst. Yeah,
Laurel.
So if you go to where U Village is, and you go towards Lake Washington,
Okay.
that's Laurelhurst. So I took care of a couple in there for about 4.5 years.
It was like a super nice area.
It's extremely nice. It's probably one of the wealthiest enclaves other
I
than the
think
Highlands.
I ended up
Seattle.
in that neighborhood when I first moved here. I
Yeah.
was taking a bus, and I ended up in this area.
And
I
you're
was
like, where am I? Yeah.
It looked like the neighborhood where we first moved to when we moved to America. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
It reminds me of Potomac. Like, oh, where am I?
Yeah, that's the money.
Yeah.
And then also I started a friend of mine who made wine. There's 2 brothers that I know, the Devoyne brothers, and at that point they were both making wine. And Derek Devoyne, he had a winery called Coolin Hills in the Woodinville Winery District. And and by that time he knew I liked to make pizza, or even back then I was a pizza guy. And
So you've always been a pizza
I've always
guy.
been a pizza
You
guy.
love
When I was a
pizza.
kid, we always went out for pizza on my birthday. We got to pick the one thing my parents did. We got to pick a restaurant to go to for your birthday.
So has this area always been huge on pizza? Because like I can't believe how many
I
freaking
can't understand
pizza
it either.
joints are here. Like
No. It wasn't always like that. Really, right? I always say so. The very first Pagliacci's, which was on the Ave, I think it opened in like 80, maybe 79, something like that, or 80. But when my brother went to college, would have been like 82, something like that. I was in 6th grade, so no, it was like 80. So like in 1980, when my brother went to college, I used to go hang out with him a lot. I spent a lot of time with my brother and sister. And I went, and he had a friend that worked. His name was Ty Adams, and he worked at that Pagliacci's, and he closed it at night.
Okay.
And my brother and I would go in there and
While he's
eat,
closing up.
right as he's closing up, and eat the cold pizza. And you get a beer when I was in 6th grade, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. Pizza and beer. So we'd go there. Before that, Piccolo's, Mio's Tia Roma, which it used to be on Botha Way. There's all the places. I just loved it. The old school Seattle pizza. The Italian, what's it called? The place that was up the street on Lake City. The Italian, it's called the Italian Pasta House or something. It's no longer there. Everything, all this stuff is gone. But it wasn't really a huge pizza town. Olympic, which is right on Queen Anne, which is still there. Olympia. But it was just a thing. It was my thing.
Now, would you say that back then
Yeah.
versus now, in terms of how many there are now, quality-wise, of pizza, has it still remained similar quality?
Not at all. I mean, the thing is, I think people bag on Seattle pizza a lot. I think it's pretty unfair. There are some people that are making really good pizza here. In the region, there's a lot of really good pizza, and the access to good ingredients is much better than it used to be. You can get really good stuff. When we first started the 104, that was the first time, basically, for me, the week we opened was the beginning of when you could get volumes of Ferndale Farmstead mutts, their Fjord a lot, in quantities where you could work it as a pizza thing. And I don't know this for a fact, but I do know from where I get it from Peterson. I was the first person ordering in large quantities that cheese. Now they're all over the West Coast.
Not everybody gonna know what Fior di Latte means,
So
why don't you explain
so
that?
So Fior di Latte, true buffalo mozzarella. When you say mozzarella, it's the Italian stuff, which is water buffalo.
Mozzarella.
Yeah, mozzarella.
Yeah.
And that is water buffalo. And in America, when you make it with cow's milk, then you call it Fior di Latte.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just a different
So
different
you
animal.
You can't technically call it.
I don't call it mozzarella.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a different. And if you try it, you've tried it, it's
is
buttery and it's delicious and it's not grainy or stringy. It's a different product than you can get, and they make it from. I mean, it's the family that makes it up in Ferndale. They grow they call the cheese seed to cheese because they grow the crops that they feed the cows. They make their own silage. They milk their own cows.
Silage?
The feed for cows. They do the hay, breaking it down, feeding it to the cows, and then
silage. It's called silage because it comes from the silo.
But that is okay. Wow, good question. I don't know why they call it that. That's a good guess. I think that and so if you go there, you can actually see, if you go visit the cheese facility, they have the barn where all the cows are, and they literally have a pipeline that goes between the where the cows live and then the cheese making facility.
Oh yeah, you told me this.
And they milk the cows and they pump it in and flash pasteurize it like in half a second, and then they make cheese every single day.
That's got to be some sort of machine.
It's amazing. It's this huge, gigantic, steel tubes and very shiny. It's a cheese-making facility, so it's sterile.
Super fucking hot.
Yeah, a lot of steam.
The second
exactly.
Pasteurizing.
Yeah.
Holy
and then
shit.
they make the cheese every day, and it's a fantastic product. There's not much like it.
Dude, every time I see it at the store, I'm like,
Tony, exactly,
Tony!
There it is. and so back to the winemaking guy. He found a clay or a concrete oven. Somebody had made a concrete wood fire oven, and they had it sitting in a field where he was making a wine delivery. They had two of them. And Derek said to him, he said, "Hey, what about that oven?" And he said, "I'll sell it to you for a case of wine."
Who's Derek?
Derek is the winemaker. So they stuffed it in the back of his truck and they loaded it.
So who had the
it was somebody who had ordered a case of wine from him.
Okay.
That was some guy, I think, had an apple orchard.
Okay.
And he filled up Derek's truck with applewood and the oven and for a case of wine. And Derek said, "What are we going to do with it?" I said, "Let's make pizza in it." So I started doing events at his winery
With this oven.
with this oven, and I used it for I think
So was it on a trailer?
3-4 years. We just stuck it in a. So what we did is there's like these big metal cages that hold barrels. A barrel cage. It looks like a farm bin kind of. You know the like where you put the grapes for wine harvest. It's kind of a big plastic. It's like a pallet board size, except it's got walls on it.
Yeah.
This thing is like that, except it's all steel bars. So that you can put 4 wine barrels. You can stack them. It has kind of a wavy thing, so you can stack up the wine barrels.
Yeah.
And we just turned it on its side and put an oven on top of it.
Got
And so he could wheel it out with a pallet jack when we were going to cook.
I see.
And we'd load it full of wood, start a fire, and eventually I got a.
So how big?
I started with a hair dryer.
How big was this?
Eventually I got a leaf blower.
Holy shit.
Then you could get the fire just. And we'd get it going about, you had to start it about 3 hours before people showed up.
Yeah, to get it up to temp.
Yeah, because the concrete,
Yeah.
And we'd get that thing up hot, and then.
But dude, there's nothing fucking.
And then I just cooked
that.
pizza right in his parking lot. And
at the winery.
Yeah, at the winery.
Fuck.
And it was just a private event, so there was really no restrictions on what we could do. We could do kind of whatever we wanted. And I was
technically you don't even need a license if you're doing private, like a super private event.
Exactly.
I'm doing whatever the fuck I want.
So we did, and I would just, I would bring anything that I thought sounded funny, and then I just mess around with it. And
so at this point, had you already been fucking around with dough a lot?
I had done so by that time, probably 3 years of messing around. There is a book that probably most people that are my age that do pizza read back in the day, and it was called American Pie. And it was a book about a guy that also was a pizza obsessed guy. Mm-hmm. And he went to Italy, and then he messed around with dough. And so I did his stuff, and then I started messing with fermentation and what you could and could not do. And the one big thing, as you know, the one odd thing that I did was I was really interested in getting the crust to taste as bready as possible. I wanted as much intense bread flavor from the pasta as possible.
Should be.
So I, instead of water, I started using beer. Because then with the beer, I could get, that's super because it's liquid bread, I could get more yeast flavor, more wheat flavor into the beer or into the pizza. So I started doing the beer, and then as a agent. And then in order to get it light, because they, it's supposed to be the fermentation and the rising, it will get a lighter product when you have something that's carbonated. And I found that if you waited a little longer, there's kind of most pizza, what they'll say is a lot of East Coast pizza will do a 1-day ferment, then 3-day ferment, and more is not always better. But I like, so mine is 10 days, except it's cold, but it's all cold. The bread, the dough never gets warm until it's about to be made. And I found that way you could get a really light product, because when you're eating a lot of heavy stuff on top of it, just to not get a gut bomb out of it, and able to eat more and eat other things in the same meal with pizza, because like I always say, I'm consumptive. I want to eat everything, and I don't want to stop. So I wanted a pizza that was light enough that I could also eat a salad and have arancini and have dessert and have post-dinner drink and go home and not wake up the next day with a food hangover and like oh my Lord, what did I do last night feeling. And you can do that. If the crust is light enough, it's nice. So that's my particular angle on pizza. Well, and so we started there. And I did that for a while, and then there was a little tiny tavern that was near my house that had a commercial kitchen in it. And I went to the owner and said, "Hey, do you mind if I mess around with pizza and sell it in your place?" And he said, "Sure." And so I was there for a year, messing with what sold and understanding, kind of giving myself a crash course in restaurants, as I'd not really worked in restaurants before.
So was this kind of like a separate venture with you guys, or were you like working at the place?
It
Or
was just me.
Oh,
This is me alone. The whole
so wait
thing,
a minute.
the
You
piece.
said he had a tavern. Oh,
Oh,
so,
this is yeah. So when I was doing the wine, so I did the wine thing,
Yeah.
and I did like special events, and then I went to this guy that was local, that was right down the street from me, and I said, "Can I make these pizzas in your bar?" He said, "Sure."
So he wasn't serving any food.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, excuse me. He had like sandwiches.
Well,
I
yeah,
think
you
he
have
did
to
like
serve
ham sandwich. Yeah, he did something.
if you have alcohol.
but he didn't have anybody cooking.
Okay.
It was all just assembly food.
So was this still the concrete oven?
No, I bought a little electric because it had to be. It was no venting in the basement, and there was 23 stairs, so I had to time my pizzas so that I could, because I did everything. I took the orders, I ran the pizza, and I cooked the pizza. It was a one-man show, and then during that time, I also thought it would be a good idea to start catering, and I did.
So was these separate businesses?
These are all separate businesses.
No. Like,
Yeah.
his tavern was
Yeah.
separate from what you were doing.
Yeah.
Your business. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I started running. So then I started doing a catering company that was just me, which is, I always say, don't do that.
How the fuck did you do catering when you don't have? Had you accrued like all this catering gear?
Here's how I did it.
The fuck, Tony.
Here's how I did it. The deal was I supply food on plates. There's no coffee service. There's no water service. There's no nothing. All the money goes into the food. Is what I used to tell people. And it did. So you'd get really nice food, but there was no service. So you'd bring in they'd have to do the plates and everything like that. And I would just bring platter upon platter of food. And I did one. My favorite story is I did one.
So was it just pizza you were doing? At
No,
this
is
catering?
everything.
You were just
I was
messing
doing
around with,
everything.
like, stuff. Okay.
I was doing banh mi, and I did Mediterranean.
Oh.
I did all sorts of crazy stuff. And during that time, I had one that was Hawaiian. That I did a bunch of Kahlua pork and musubi, and I did all that stuff.
Oh,
and
I love musubi.
And I had my daughter. Once I did a catered at a funeral, and it was 400 people.
How did you master the rice for musubi?
It was madness. It's completely madness. And I kept thinking when I was doing this stuff, I was like, if I break an arm, there's nothing, it doesn't happen. So that's why I say, and when I was starting to get scared, because they were getting, some of the events were
But
big.
it's also so exciting.
It was
fun. There's always that, oh shit, what the fuck am I doing?
And not exactly.
But
that razor's edge.
Excitement drives you,
Yeah,
you're just like, fuck, it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that was, and on almost all of these events, I would have so much extra food. I would just have swamped it so much because I could charge a lot of money. And they love the food. Yeah. And I didn't have staff. So a lot of times these things, at the end of it, I would show up at some of the tent cities, and I would say, you know what, I've got, basically like 15 hotel pans of leftovers.
That much leftovers?
Oh, sometimes. Like for the big one, yeah, sometimes.
How many people were you serving?
So yeah, usually around 100,
Okay.
And so I'd have all this stuff left over, and I'd show up at a tent city and just
So you were like
drop it off. It was
over
awesome.
prepping out the ass.
Oh,
man.
I was. I
Holy
was making
shit.
sure. No, I did not want to underdo it.
Yeah.
No, kill them. That's what I always said. That was the one thing I never wanted to have a complaint.
Well, you do not want to run out of food.
No,
especially people are paying for catering, and you're like, oh, sorry guys, I got no
exactly, yeah. So I had lots usually.
Hell yeah.
And especially veg, right? Salads and stuff. You can just go crazy.
But hey, going back to what you were saying about you want to be able to consume as much as you want.
Yes.
And then not be overstuffed afterwards.
Yeah.
That doesn't only come from, what you did is genius, right? But it also comes from the quality of food, which you're also doing.
So true.
When it's super quality, even if it's like the most basic shit, you can eat as almost as much as you want, and you will still not be as full as eating one pie from one of the fucking big boys
Exactly.
of these huge chains, because they're using all this
stuff that's not meant to go into your body.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
your body
So,
cannot.
like,
Your body.
one of those pies will weigh you down way more than
Yes.
all this fucking fresh shit, even if it's like meatballs with fucking marinara and fucking baked over mozzarella on top. You still.
When you don't have petrochemicals in your food,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
it makes
Oh my
your
God.
body is happier.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And that's how it is every time I'm back home, and I haven't been in such a long time, but we just eat the whole time. Any kind of gathering, even if it's just 2, 3, 4 people
Yeah.
to 100 people, we're just eating, stuffing ourselves the whole time.
And you never feel bad.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's always so great. And we don't have such thing called organic over there.
Yeah, it is
all
yeah,
organic.
It's only,
like,
yeah.
We don't have
Yeah.
any of that shit.
Nobody's running to buy
No,
fertilizer.
man.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And that's what I never understood. Like, I was like, why? When I moved here, I was like, what is going on? What has happened to food? What is this bread? Like, what happened to bread?
The longer you spend like time doing this stuff, and then you walk into a regular grocery store, and it's just all the low lights and all the plastic shining at you, and all the stickers on all the stickers on all the monster produce, and it all just looks like,
Why is it all so shiny?
Exactly. Everything's been waxed, and it's just creepy. And then you
It looks great.
and the line at the pharmacy just keeps getting longer, and you're like,
one thing feeds the other.
Exactly.
It's like,
and this is my thing too, is like,
that company should not be influencing what we eat.
correct.
Like,
and this is my, when you see the food safety things that the sticker on all the restaurants of whether people have been handling food correctly and stuff, and it's funny what those laws are about. Certainly there is stuff that keeps you from getting sick from seafood and meat, and there's correct handling. But then also where it drives people is it drives out the cooking, and it drives you towards freezer bags and deep fryers and prepackaged everything. And there's nobody protecting you from that.
there should not, like, food should not have more to do with science than
than a farmer.
Produce and farmer.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
It's
guys?
terrifying. It's
And
funny.
I understand that whole thing happened because of the scare of the Great Depression and trying to feed the masses and all that shit. But then we got too far away from, hey, let's also keep this shit healthy for us.
And I recently got an induction range in my house, and I love it. But one of the things
Nothing like gas, though, man.
Okay. So the interesting thing about
Induction is super fast.
is
I'll
that
give
it
it that.
also can hold exactly the boil you want.
Yeah.
And
It's almost like an immersion circulator.
and
like,
you can in fact sous vide on it. So that's kind of cool. But one of the weird things that comes with some of these, and this is our future, is they come with a pan that has Wi-Fi in the handle. And listen, this is what that comes.
I mean, this technology is, yeah.
So this is what they intend you to do with that. They intend for you to turn the pan on. You link it to a video that is from the pan's producer, and it walks you through a recipe, and it'll control the pan. It'll say, like, now add the onions, and it'll heat it'll heat the pan up to sear, and then it'll say, like, I'll have a countdown. Okay, now stir the onions, and it'll move things around, and it tells you.
What do you mean move things around?
Like, it'll tell you, okay, now stir the onions.
Oh, okay.
And it has a clock on it, and so it'll literally babysit you through cooking a recipe. And this is because people are less and less learning how to cook or what to do with their own food. And it's I'm glad that maybe technology will help people learn how to
I
cook.
don't know though, man. Like I feel like more there's like all this information through technology, the more people are actually wanting to cook. Like
I hope they do. I
think you might be.
I want to be wrong.
Like, I think you might be a little mistaken with that because I find it that more and more people are learning terms that I learned only in culinary school.
Yeah.
And then I throw out these terms and they're like, "Oh yeah, you hearing that shit?" Like, yeah.
But people, there is a little more exposure to, especially now, right? There's with the bear and that kind of stuff. There's a little more culty fetishism with what we do for a living. That I think would be evaporated if they spent a day working in a kitchen. But I hope that they get in the kitchen and
I mean, watching these
learn how to chop an onion and learn how to cook an egg. Yeah, right.
But like you watch these Master Chef episodes, and these home cooks are like better than some of the chefs I've ever met. Like
because they're interested. In it. They're interested.
But hey, I wanted to ask you, like, the one of the things that I was most amazed by was, and I wanted to ask you, did you meet these guys? Did you already know these guys before you ordered these greens, or you just found them? The Red Dog Farms, man. So I have never seen a better fucking green. And it's so natural, and it just lasts. So, like, it holds up so well.
So Karen is over there, over on the other side of the Hood Canal. She's on the 104. She has been...
What do you mean?
Her farm, Red Dog, is in Chimacum, which is right on Highway 104. So if you go over...
So this thing extends way past...
So Highway 104, this is my... Okay, I'll go into the
I have no...
thing.
You know, I'm
So Highway 104 starts at Lake Washington. And so we're on like about milepost like 3 or 2 or something like that. And it's a 36-mile long road. And the story I always say is that it's the most Washington state stretch of highway. It starts at Lake Washington. It turns into the Kingston Ferry route. And then it goes over the floating bridge over the Hood Canal. And then it,
but what about, like,
and it ends at Highway 101.
Once you come to Buffalo Way, like...
So, no, if you follow it all, it goes all the way to Edmonds, right? 104.
Yeah, but I'm talking like once we're getting to Lake Forest Park.
That's where it dead ends. It dead ends right there. That's the beginning of it. That's the beginning of Highway 104.
Right.
That intersection where the mall is, that's the end of Highway 104.
That's not 34 miles.
No. It's the other, because it stretches the other direction.
Which other direction?
Towards Edmonds. So it goes all the way from Lake
across
Washington.
The Kingston Ferry?
That Kingston Ferry is Highway 104. They call that 104.
Really?
The ferry route. Yeah. That's it. So when you get into Kingston...
So Red Dog Farms is over there?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was that way towards the east.
No. It's the other way.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
So
Red Dog has been the woman. It's a woman, and she has been farming there, I think, for now 20 years.
I love those fucking greens.
And she's a real big sweetheart, and it's literally physically right next door to Finn River Cidery, which is, if you've ever gone, you should go over there. Okay,
I haven't been on the Kingston Ferry. I haven't. So the only ones I've been to is Camano Island and Orcas Island.
Okay, so what you do this someday. You can even just walk on. But you get on that ferry, and if you go over onto the other side into Kingston, from Kingston, you can continue on Highway 104, and it'll go along, and then you can go to Chimacum, which is where the cidery is, Finn River, which is a great cidery. They have outdoor cornhole. They have a music situation. There's a big old, they call it dented buoy. It's a big old buoy that somebody cut a hole in and turned into a pizza oven. And they cook pizzas out of it. They do. It's really cool. Right,
so this metal fucking.
It's a huge old buoy with a big hole cut in, and they just burn wood in there, and they cook pizza in it.
That's fucking priceless.
It's really cool. It's this big, huge outdoor. Like they have all this outdoor kind of activity space and music. It's pretty good. And but Red Dog's right next door. They have a big farm shop at Red Dog that you can get a bunch of local fresh produce. And then right there's a little grocery store also right there in Chimicum that I think maybe called the Chimicum Grocery that is full of really fancy Northwest food. It's a really cool grocery store. It's tiny, but and they do plants and stuff. But they have
That's what I love about these small
it's
Washington
there's
towns,
some
man.
there's a
Holy shit.
it's really pretty amazing over there. And then if you continue on, you can get on to 101, and you can go to the Hama Hama Oyster Company, which is
Hama is also over there?
yeah, it's over there. Which I say is like it's just one of the most northwesty businesses that you could ever wish to go to. It's so
Fuck
cool.
yes.
They roast.
I love Hama
You
Hama
can get
oysters,
fresh
man.
oysters. They have these little A-frames over there. You can sit in the A-frame. You can eat oysters and drink beer, and
Dude, did you
they have these
hear about,
huge oyster shell fire pits.
Did you hear about Taylor?
Well, no, tell me.
They sold
Oh, did they? Wait, what? Really?
to pack
Oh, I didn't know that.
Just
when
like-
did that happen?
past few months.
Oh, that's too bad.
You remember
They
like
just expanded.
something happened with oysters like this past season where like
There's been
they
some
weren't-
issues.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
during that time,
They just didn't make it.
over 100 years of
That's
family.
amazing. I did not know
and-
that. I knew that they were having trouble because Chuckanut is closed right now because of a
Holy
rock
shit,
slide.
dude! I
But
couldn't
I didn't
believe
know
it.
over 100 years. That's amazing.
I think it was 1893 or something.
That almost makes me want to cry.
Dude,
I've been going there since a kid, since I was a little boy.
pack seafood.
Used to go down Chuckanut Drive and go to their farm right there.
We went there. I went
Yeah.
there because I wanted to do that drive because it's all along the
It's
fucking
amazing.
coast.
It's amazing.
And we passed and I was like, I gotta turn around. I gotta
Yeah.
go. And I thought like, okay, if I'm at the fucking farm, it's gonna be way better pricing.
No. Because they're trying to probably stay open.
$3.50,
Yeah, probably.
$3.50 an oyster.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, guys! I came here to the farm and not even fucking $1 discount. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
But-
I barbecued oysters on that site. They have
Oh,
they have the
man.
little barbecues out there, and I brought my father-in-law up there. About
Cool
2 years
restaurant
ago.
they got set up out there.
That's
but like,
nice. I remember I was there about 15 years ago when they were really starting to talk about expanding, and that's when they expanded. And they had the restaurants. Now they have the 2 in Seattle, 3.
3.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
Damn, that's too bad.
Sorry, Tony.
That's too
I
bad.
didn't mean to give you
Just-
a bummer
ooh.
there. But yeah, man. Like,
That's really too bad.
I found it so awesome that it's been in the family for.
And just none of Northwest tradition.
You never know. You never know
You
what's
don't.
going on. But damn. But hey, I wanted to talk. I wanted to tell
Yes.
you. Speaking about like local oysters, like
Yes.
Hama Hama, right?
Yeah.
So when I went with this guy that I met at right here at Woody's.
Yeah, I know what
He gave me this tattoo
Oh,
of my
nice.
niece,
Nice.
and he's from shit. I don't want to say the wrong country, but he's from South America, and Ruben. And I went with him, and you remember Jordan.
Yep.
So we went to Orcas, and we're driving around. She'd been there a bunch of times, and so we're driving around. We had lunch at this one place on the water. Great, fucking beautiful. Everything's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And then we came to this gas station, and the owner, I guess, or whoever had set up this big ass fucking wooden fucking table outside, just filled with ice and local Orcas Island oysters,
Nice.
$1 a piece.
Oh wow. Yeah, real pricing.
We got 2 dozen.
Yeah.
Went up to that fort or whatever it is, the watchtower thing
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
Went up, came down, crushed those oysters with some beers. It was fucking amazing.
It's magic.
$1 a
right?
piece,
It's
man.
magic.
Like,
And that's how it should. It feels right. That's It feels like then you feel like community. That is beautiful.
just the breeze, and then you just see the water
Mm-hmm.
and just the cold oysters. Like,
Yeah.
And I'm from the East Coast. I love oysters. I've I've never been a fan of the East Coast. It's super briny, too big. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm always a fan of the smaller oysters.
Pacificus.
They're just way sweeter.
Yep.
Still got a little brine in there. Like,
I don't know what to say. I always say best oysters on earth. And you're right. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Northwest is such a food. I don't think it quite gets enough credit for being one of the greatest food areas on earth.
man, we are like one of the seafood capitals of the world, not just a
Dungeness
nation.
crab, oysters, mussels, and then just the produce is silly.
It's one of the big
The beer
reasons.
is silly and the wine is silly. There's just a bunch of great stuff.
I had
here.
no idea about the wine.
Right?
Even just here in Woodinville.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Yeah, you can get really nice
And it's
stuff.
such great wine.
You can get
such great
for
wine.
a region. It's really impressive the stuff that the farmers produce here, and I've always said that's one of the things I always say that just makes the restaurant easy, is that there is just so much good stuff that you can just get your hands on, and just don't screw it up.
So I still have wanted to know that. Did you know the Red Dog Farms prior to?
I like I said, my weirdness about farms, I knew about them, before the restaurant.
Yeah.
I knew about almost all our vendors before the restaurant. The only thing that I really didn't know that much about, and have gotten a huge education in since the beginning, has been the beer. The beer, Northwest beer. I mean, I always drank it, but I didn't. I had 2 or 3 that I always stuck with. But just really learning all the different varieties and all the different, and because also the explosion of micro breweries in the Northwest, and then getting to the point where we could focus on what I always say is people that our beer list tends to be beer that from small producers. As soon as somebody is selling
Blows up
at,
and shit.
at Costco, then I don't think we need to carry their beer anymore. We're not helping support. So we try to, that's one thing I love doing.
Support the small local businesses.
People that look like us, is what I always say. Is people's little tiny independents. And because there's so much good beer, that it's fun to champion people that I think need to be heard.
And I don't feel it's just that. I feel like it's also like once you blow up and become so big, you start like producing on such a large scale. Some of that love and care that goes into each and every freaking brew, it just gets a little muddled.
I think sometimes it does. I think
muddled.
the only thing here I'll talk about one. Well, one that we do carry that's pretty big is Field 41, and that's what we make our pizza with. The beer that we make our pizza with, and those guys, they are hop farmers, and they produce, I think, if I remember correctly, 80% of the hops in Washington States. They're giant,
That's amazing.
and they make the kids of the hop growers
That's
were like, we want to make our own beer with some of these hops. So they started the company, and we've been out to visit them several times. We usually have a collaboration with them every summer. They get us a bunch of produce. They grow on the plots that they shut down and clear of hops. They will grow produce on some of those lots. And a lot of what they grow
it's just
on them is
amazing
Mama
produce.
Lil's. It's a lot of Mama Lil's peppers. I think that they said last year on their lots they grew 1 million pounds of Mama Lil's peppers, and so that's how large their land ownership is. So they're big kids, and they. But when you go to their brewery, they have a pretty large space where it's a laboratory for anybody to use, and anybody can brew beer in it. If you have an idea, you can go in, and they'll make it. You set up the things, and they'll make it. So that they're still trying. They have all sorts of little tiny small batch stuff that they make. They do cask age. They do a lot of stuff that you don't see very much commercially. So I think that's how they're trying to keep. I think there's ways to keep that interest alive, like you're talking about, because I do think that exactly scale tends to take out individuality.
But I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like you said. It's not always the case. Like,
Yeah,
I
there's ways
just
to do it.
recently found out that Stella is now owned by Anheuser.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But
yeah,
you taste Stella,
yeah,
they got the formula down. Like,
yeah.
Okay, it doesn't necessarily always have to be lost in the
In the mass production.
in the mass production,
Yeah.
because I love Stella.
Yeah.
I'm betting you love Stella.
Yeah.
Most
No,
of the people that like beer.
it's a
love
light
Stella.
day. Exactly. It's summer. It's sunny. Yeah, you want to Stella. Yeah. No, it's nice.
But yeah, I'm just saying a lot of the times it can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where
Yep.
people blow up and they're like, oh well, yeah, we don't need that anymore. We could just let's go.
Yes. Certainly that happens in the food industry.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yes. As we've all seen. Yes. Former loves.
So I never really got to see everything, but from what I saw, I believe that you don't really use any large purveyor. Or do you?
We
Do you get some stuff from like US or something?
No. So we do. There is a company called Greco that specializes in pizza stuff. They are some kind of arm of Cisco, but I have a sales guy there, and he gets in product at ridiculous prices that is high-end product to try to get you to buy other stuff. And I only stick with I only stick with what I take.
That's how they.
Yeah.
That's how they operate.
I don't
man.
buy anything
That's how they
else.
operate.
So they're still it's my products that I like,
Yeah.
and they're at a price that some other people cannot get close to. So some of those, just to try to stay afloat, we do that. But I think I order from 15 different people a week for food.
I noticed.
Yeah.
I did notice that.
I don't.
Which I love.
I don't mind. I don't think it's any.
That's how it should be. I believe.
Yes.
That's how it should be. You should be seeing the guy that raises the chickens or fucking
absolutely
whatever. So
try to keep it as small and local
so
as
your
possible.
proteins, like your chicken,
Yeah.
where does that come from?
So we get right now most of it comes from Corfini, Gourmet.
Corfini. Okay.
Yeah, we get Corfini.
Okay.
And
I didn't know they fucking did chicken.
Yeah. You can get
Corfini. I thought it was like specialty, like
mostly. You have to. Yeah, you just gotta do some talking.
But no, that just goes to show you
Small independence.
how much reach Cisco's got.
Oh, it's a monster. I mean, when
you know what I mean? You want the nice shit?
Yeah.
We got you still.
And that's they still, I still sometimes have to
grease the wheels.
I would say stress that they can lose me. It's okay with me.
Yeah.
If they don't like to play ball, because I am a tiny guy, if they don't want to play ball, that's fine. I'll just go somewhere else. I don't want it ever to be that I'm buying because, and I've had salespeople. I'm sure you've seen this. I've had salespeople come in. I had
all the fucking
and come in and say, "Okay, this is what you're about to order." And actually, no, I'm not. And I'm like, I don't
with
mind.
their little folios.
And some of these people
here, let me show you all this nice shit.
And also, I've told people, I've banned certain people from coming in the place of salespeople. I've also said if I have to do that, I'm no longer ordering from you. So just let me know if that's okay, because I won't do it. I'm paying, right? And that's how I grew up.
Please don't ever stray.
That's how I grew up. Is that the person with the money gets the service, not the other way around. And so, And I know it's a funny. We are entering a funny.
Do not
place.
let them ever strong arm you into.
No, it's impossible.
Well,
it's impossible.
I'll get you this and that.
It's literally impossible because I'm just not interested. I'm just not a back. I can't do it.
Yes.
It's another thing about being maybe older in this industry is that I know who I am and I don't really care. It's
has
just
to do
that's
with older.
I mean,
It has to
I
do-
maybe when I was younger, I
it has
maybe
to
not
do
would have
with
been.
standards.
Yes, it does have to do with standards. Also, I think I would have been maybe easier swayed when I was younger.
Yeah.
I maybe
yeah.
would
You
have.
can't argue that.
I maybe if somebody was old, my age, talking to me when I was younger, and I'd be like intimidated. There's not really intimidated by that stuff anymore at all. Not interested. I don't need any more friends. No.
Not that fucking any of our purveyors,
But they try to make it right. They try to make it
super
emotional.
friendly.
They try to make it emotional instead of a transaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super friendly.
Sure.
I can get you a deal on this.
And it used to be, and I come from, like I said, because I've been doing, buying and I've been doing this in retail. I did it for 7 years.
And that's how you learned all this, right?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it.
Well, but also just the fact that back in the day, it was before they made it all illegal that they could give you all this free stuff. So back in the day, you'd say, "Hey, how about some Mariners tickets?" Or I'd love to go see the Seahawks, and they get you. People could grease stuff that, especially alcohol, beer and wine guys almost always had to, send out tickets or give you free things or neon or all sorts. You could get all sorts of free stuff, but then they outlawed all that.
Neon.
Yeah, you could get neon signs. Like you want to
sign.
I used to have a great Rainier Dry neon sign. That some beer guy gave me. I mean, they just give you stuff.
That's just not cheap to make either.
No, this is nice stuff. Yeah.
Neon.
You could take home. I mean, I took home a box, probably every week of stuff, because also I mean the store that I worked at was making a lot of money for them, so they would give you free stuff. No more free stuff. So
no more.
There's no more sway on me.
Did you ever mess with Inner Bay?
Is it a meat people?
Yeah.
I've heard of them, but I don't know them.
Okay. Yeah, they're not like huge, but they're local guys, I believe.
There's a few that I've learned,
and they got good shit.
Okay, I'll talk to them maybe. It's just whatever
I was just
happens.
Because
I walked away from Corfini.
Because you deal with so many people.
I walked away from Corfini for a couple years, and during that time, I got all my stuff through Key City. Key City would get me meat.
Key City, yeah, they're both good. Corfini, Key City, yeah.
Key City's nice, and that's where I got my chicken from them, and they would get me. They'd on occasion just do odd things. Duck. You could get from them. You could get all sorts of strange, but it was seasonal, and it was through little tiny farms that are over there on the other side of the Sound, and they're good. Key City's great people.
You ever run duck over there?
We did a duck pizza once, and I did a duck breast once.
Duck pizza, duck confit pizza.
Oh yeah, I did a duck confit pizza. Yeah.
What did you use for the sauce?
It was
the cream.
I did pickled Rainier cherries.
For the sauce?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was really nice. But nobody ordered. And then shallots.
So that's what fucking blows my fucking mind. Fucking awesome sounding shit. No one orders it.
And then nobody orders it. Well, I mean, it also it's unexpected, and we are.
That's the thing. People don't know about it, so
But like you say, I think one thing that is positive is that people are learning. There is a segment of society that is learning a lot about food. Exactly. Sometimes I'm like, what are you talking about? I haven't heard of this. And I live this, and it's funny because it's gotten better. When we opened, probably 70% of the pizzas we sold were the 3 red sauce pizzas, and now it's probably 20 or 30%. Yeah, people have changed to liking different things.
Well, plus you've gotten your
you
reputation.
Get your crowd. You got
your crowd,
yeah.
And they've come and they've let's try this time. And
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
God,
yeah.
this is almost better than that.
Exactly,
Like,
and then they start to experiment, and they get to trust you too,
and
because
then they spread
because
the word.
they once they've had something that you've made that's good, then they trust you on the next time you make something. So it's also a trust issue, which I have always been the person that is. I go in a restaurant, I look what doesn't belong on this menu. That's what I'm ordering. Because I'm like, what are they doing? Why is this on there? So I gonna have to order that because somebody's excited, and I want to try what they're excited about, right?
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
The one Japanese item, right, at a Greek place. I'm like, okay, wait, what? Let's do it. Let's see. Let's have some fun.
See, I had this genius idea of, oh yeah, I can't really run a mac and cheese very well off of a flat top, and I have a fryer. So I decided, okay, let me just do a mac and cheese sandwich. So I did 2 layers of mac and cheese, put some more cheese in between, and then breaded that shit.
Oh wow!
You would think
like a Monte Cristo, kind of mac and cheese Monte Cristo.
And you would think, hey, deep fried mac and cheese.
Yeah, not a single one.
I mean, no, people here and there.
Yeah.
But like,
but you were eating them.
I was expecting to sell out and like.
Yeah, it sounds like that's what I would order. Exactly. I would have been like, wait, what? Because
right? Maybe people think like it's too heavy or like what deep fried mac and cheese.
It's just a meal. Have fun, right? That's all. I'm adventurous. I want to have fun. Yeah.
So then, like, have you kept just experimenting? Because, like, okay, all the fresh stuff that you make from scratch, like the meatballs and the lamb sausage. So, like, have you just gotten to learn all that via trial and error, or like you just?
It's all
You just looked up recipes to become inspired by.
I'm just always. I mean, probably just like you. I'm always reading, and I'm always looking at stuff.
Yeah.
I spend probably an hour a week reading menus. Of other pizza places mostly.
Okay.
I look up the local 104 is based on, I always say, a Brooklyn pizza place. So a lot of times I will look up pizza places in Brooklyn that I've been to because I go every few years. I'll go to New York and do a pizza tour. And
what an amazing place.
Eat maybe 20, 30 pizzas in a 3-day period. Just it's terrible on the body, but it's fun.
It's delicious on the soul.
And just see what are they doing, what's new, what's different, because they have an abundance of people that have once again eaten so much pizza that somebody it's just experimenting. And so I'll eat their pizzas and I'll try it out and I'll see what they're doing different and I'll experiment with that. And then sometimes you just just reading you'll get inspired. We're doing a pizza that'll go on starting tomorrow or the next day. That's based on a Sicilian New Year's pizza. It's called. I'm gonna butcher it because I'm not fluent in Italian.
Because you're not Sicilian.
I think it's called Sinfone, and Sinfone is a
what is it?
It's called Sinfone.
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 And Sinfone, and I think, and it is a pizza that they'll eat on New Year's Day. Who knows why? But I think I know why. And that is because it's an anchovy pizza, and the anchovy pizza is with the fish is kind of the New Year, the fish, the Feast of the Seven Fishes from the Catholics.
I had no idea about the 7 fishes thing until not very long ago. Yeah.
And so it is and it's got a cheese on it that is a sheep's milk cheese called Cassiocavallo. And it's this big bulbous aged cheese, and some of it. There's one called Antica that they do in clay. This one, the one I can't get any of the clay stuff. I looked all over. There's no vendor in at least in the West Coast.
Probably because they don't make it pasteurized.
Exactly, and so it is. But it's super nutty and a little funky.
It's farm cheese.
It's and and it's that and breadcrumbs, and I'm doing spring onion on it, and then anchovies, and the breadcrumbs are on top, and it's really just interesting, right? And so it's that kind of interesting stuff. You're like, oh, I haven't heard of this cheese. Let's base a pizza around it.
And what about the sauce?
It is just straight red sauce with no herb in it, so it's just tomato, straight tomato, so it's nice and clean.
Garlic?
No, nothing. Just all it is this cheese and tomato. And the spring onion is like the highlight of it, and then the fish and the breadcrumb for texture.
So the spring onion is fresh on top?
Or you put it fresh on top, and then you put it in the oven. It hasn't been...
Okay, so you do bake the...
I bake the spring onion does go in the oven just to soften it just a little bit.
So do you also
keep it a little bit sharp.
Put some fresh on top afterwards, or just
nope, just breadcrumb on the top afterwards, and that's it. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's nice. And I played around with it.
Is it like anchovy heavy? Like a lot of anchovy?
No, it's yeah. So I've learned what I try to do is always with anchovies for me, I always try to do 1 or 2 less than slices. So I think it has 6 anchovies on it, so that if you want a little break from the anchovy, or there's somebody at the table that doesn't want one, when it's sliced, you can miss an anchovy.
Yes, sir.
But for the people that are really, and then if somebody's like, oh, come on, then I'll give them the extra.
So are you using the silver anchovy?
The white,
olive oil stuff?
I do that, so I really like the salt cured.
Yeah.
But these ones that I'm doing it's a mixture of salt and oil cured, and I do the silvers because I think you just get a little bit more punchy. And the salt cured are my favorites, but it's just maybe even after rinsing, because of the salt level of the cheese, it made more sense for me to use the silvers.
You talking about I have never seen this variation of anchovy. It comes in this round plastic tub. Is that what you're talking about? And it's packed in salt?
Yeah.
And it's also a silver anchovy?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I just learned about it at my current place, Ipula.
Oh, okay.
I had only seen the skinless one in oil.
Yeah.
And then the silver one in oil.
Yeah.
But I had never seen the salt packed one. They are and they got the guts in there and everything.
Yeah.
I fucking eat that whole thing,
Non-steam, yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. My grandfather was a fisherman, and so when he was a kid, he left the former Yugoslavia when he was 14. He went to school, and the school was closed because the First World War had broken out, and he went home, and his parents said, "We cannot afford you anymore. How about you become a fisherman?" So he wound up on a fishing boat at 14 and wound up immigrating to America. And he worked as a fisherman and as a cook on the boats for 2 or 3 years at sea. And when...
You want to push that? I'm sorry, I should have said this sooner. Yeah, kind of like directly in front of you, though.
Which?
The microphone.
Oh, right in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I should have
it's fine. It's fine.
The beginning.
he wound up in Bellingham, and as a kid, Bellingham Bay full of smelt, and so that's what we used to get, those whole smelt. You'd fry them up, and that was like as a kid,
fresh stuff.
Yeah, fresh stuff, and you'd eat the whole thing, and it was just crunchy and delicious.
They're crunchy, but they're like so creamy.
Yeah, there's so much
crunchy outside.
And then that creamy hot.
Oh my God.
No, they're so good. So that was even as a kid, super into that stuff. Salmon collars and all that stuff we'd eat as kids. And that's if you grew up in the Northwest, always eating salmon, because salmon was almost trash fish back in the day. I mean, just everybody had it. Every summer, somebody would have some, monster chunk of king salmon, and they'd throw it. My dad had an oil barrel that he'd cut in half, and he'd fill one half of the oil barrel with a sack of charcoal, and we'd grill those things out in the back, just a big old king salmon, and you'd be eating those salmon sandwiches at school,
forking it.
And then at school, that was always kind of it was like the sandwich of shame, because it had so much smell. But man, I loved those things.
Fuck that shit.
No, I mean, I know. It's a funny thing
yeah.
when you look back.
And then people look at you and judge you, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
And
Like,
now, right, there's this huge cult over the fish because, as you know, we've destroyed the habitats. So yeah, now they're a delicacy.
but they're coming back though.
Yeah, they are. Exactly.
They're coming back, and they're
Yep.
trying to like make it responsible.
I just
and-
saw the $1 billion that they just pledged this just last legislature session, if it doesn't get vetoed, to bring back the salmon.
Yeah.
Or to help build the culverts. In fact, right in front of the 104, we're gonna have about 2 or 3 weeks where they're gonna close the road right in front of us and put a culvert under the road that is, I think, something like 6-foot high culvert underneath the road to try to get that McCallar Creek.
Okay,
Used to be
explain-
salmon.
Explain culvert to me.
So it's like a gigantic pipe. So right now, McCallar Creek that kind of pours through Lake Forest Park, it goes underneath Highway 104 out to Lake Washington.
Okay.
And the salmon will spawn all the way into Lake Washington, and then they used to go upstream, right up into Lake Forest Park, and they can't anymore because the culvert had collapsed. I think the culvert itself that was up there from like the 40s. The guy there's a.
Is it just from the pressure of the road?
It's yes, and
Because it went under the road.
Yeah, it went under the road. It's also the dude that had the gas station he built the culvert himself because this is before the city had any interest in building this stuff.
Gas station?
Yeah, there's a gas station right across the street. It's a car repair place now.
Okay, so that used to be a gas station. Okay.
Yeah, and so he built a culvert for the fish, and it collapsed about years ago, and so the state has been trying to buy it for years.
Like a random independent dude just for the love of the fish did it?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and he tried to rebuild it, and it collapsed over time, and so the state has been trying to fix this thing for about 20 years, but not really had money, and he had some issues with them using his land. It's a long story, but they eventually, what they're going to do is they're just tearing it all out, and they're putting in this gigantic tunnel for the fish.
What the fuck are they gonna do with the 104?
They're gonna shut it for like 3 weeks.
You just have to detour for the 3 weeks.
It'll right in front of us, 35th is supposed to stay open. We have we are waiting to hear. It's supposed to happen in fall. We are waiting to hear all the details on what that means.
Go around through.
You should be able to
Mount Lake Terrace.
You should be able to come up 104 and get to us.
Yeah.
But then the road will stop, and if you're coming the other direction from Edmonds, you will not be able to come down to us. And there'll be a detour.
Oh.
There'll be a detour around the area.
But so from Edmonds to like Bothell Way, you'll
from
have to,
the Highway 104.
You can detour through Mount Lake Terrace.
I think so. Yeah. I think
something
so.
like that.
I don't know what they're gonna do. I really don't. It's It's crazy.
When is that supposed to happen?
Fall. Yeah. So
that's exciting for.
It's good for the
project.
Yeah. It's good for Washington State. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, madness.
No, it kind of sucks for like shutting stuff down, but I don't think it's madness. I think that's.
Oh no! It's a good.
Fucking amazing.
It's all good. It's just the craziness of running a business.
Yeah.
You have an expectation that the roads are going to be open, and then it's a surprise when they tell you.
But I feel like at this point you have enough of following.
I think we'll be fine.
Yeah,
I think we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little. It's always something. Right?
And I tell Tori all the time about how amazing your place is, and one of these days we've planned it. We haven't set a date, but one of these days we're gonna come over there.
Do it.
Because she has yet to be over there, and I keep telling her that you just do all this shit from scratch, and you don't sacrifice on quality of product.
Yeah, it's not really a thought, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't,
no, it shouldn't be.
That should be number one thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I appreciated from my culinary school so much, and it was just always a natural thing to me as well, that quality of food should never be the one thing that you ever touch.
It's also why go in. I actually don't understand the opposite thought.
I would rather deal with 30 different people every day and be like, okay, I need this from you, I need this from you, then deal with one person that gets me everything, and it's all subpar, and a lot of it comes in already wilted and already fucking molded.
Yeah. Why? And also, it's just why put yourself through that? And also, it's just, people should not get into the industry thinking one day I'm going to have a yacht. Right?
No,
they should get into the industry.
And if that happens, good for you.
Yeah,
But,
exactly. If it happens because you're having a good product, well, then you'll be able to sleep at night. But if you're sitting on that yacht and you're killing people with petroleum product food, then what are you doing?
Right? Yeah, you got into it for the wrong.
Yeah, you got into the wrong reason. Yeah.
But so I know you've told me a bunch of times, and I still don't quite, and I've never really looked it up, and I should have. But let's explain to people what your style of
Neo-Neapolitan.
pizza, Neo-Neapolitan. So that's new, right?
So Neapolitan pizza is usually cooked in a 900 degrees, some super hot oven.
Oh, okay.
A kiln.
Okay.
And the idea of Neapolitan pizza is that it's cooked in 60 seconds or 90 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It's cooked at extremely high temperature, and when you get the pizza out of the oven, I always describe it as the center of it should be almost like a lasagna noodle. It's wet. It's still wet, and when you're eating it, it's creamy like a pasta. It's almost like the bottom of the pizza will have char on it.
Yeah.
But the top of it will be just set, and it'll be wet. The tip of it, when sliced, will flop, and it'll be like eating like a big hot lasagna noodle.
So
like crispy on the bottom and then like cheesy on top.
So no browning, no caramelization on top.
On the top, you'll get they call it leoparding. Well, on the crust, you'll get the leoparding.
So you do have a little leoparding?
You get the leoparding, and then on the very top of the pizza, you get like black spots. But sometimes the cheese, it's softened, but it isn't. It's not Godfather's where it's just like one bubbling cheese mass.
Okay, I'm sorry then. I think I misunderstood leoparding. I understood leoparding
is the bubbles around the cornice of the pizza.
Okay.
It's a little black dots that look like leopard dots.
Okay, spots. Never mind.
And then on the top, you'll get a little bit of char spots,
okay.
But it won't be that kind of big brown bubbling mass. So that's Neapolitan pizza.
So I understood leoparding as the little brown caramelization spots you get on the cheese.
No, it's the black spots on the edge of the
okay.
crust. And it means that it's blistered. These little blisters form, and then they char.
From the air pockets, right? Yeah.
And with Neo-Neapolitan is when the Italians came to the U.S. and they started making pizza. They started putting a little bit of sugar in the dough. Sometimes they put honey, or they'd use sugar and
some sort of sugar product.
The sugars that we have in our dough is from the beer.
Yeah.
Because there's residual sugars left over from from fermentation. So that's the sugars. We don't add sugar. We just put beer in it, and so that's the beer sugar.
Fuck yeah.
So that's where you get the coloring from. And what that does, and then you cook it lower, because if you cooked it higher, the whole thing, because of the sugars, would just char out the
burn up
thing.
Yeah.
So we cook our pizzas at about 600 degrees, and what happens then is it'll set. And when you pick up a slice, the tip will hold.
Yeah.
If you bend the end, the tip, or it'll dip a little. And that's also why you don't want to overload your pizzas. You want to keep them relatively light.
Right.
So that's the biggest difference between, and then sometimes I'll put a little oil in it. We put a little oil in our pizza.
In the Neo-Neapolitan.
In the Neo-Neapolitan,
okay.
because also, once again, it'll help with color, it'll help with richness, but also it helps set that bottom so it's stiffer. So that big classic pizza, when you get a slice shop, a New York slice shop, there is a hold so you can hold it and you can eat it, right? You can walk with one hand. Yeah. So that's Neo-Neapolitan. So I've always said I'm not trying to make Italian pizza. I'm trying to make American pizza. Yeah. It's really, and even then, that I'm trying to make Washington State version of this stuff with as much Washington State product as I can.
Of course.
Yes. So that's the Neo-Neapolitan.
Of course.
That's a
I
start.
wanted to ask you, and you probably know. So these Neapolitan pizzas.
Yes.
What kind of ovens did they cook them in? Do you know?
So
How did they get them fucking 900
with
degrees?
a wood fire, huge wood fire. So
Wood
there's
fire.
a
Okay.
there's kind of the famous.
There's a clay oven usually, probably.
Yeah, there are a lot of times big old clay ovens. Yeah, or and then there's now they'll do you can see like the New Haven where they'll do the coal, they'll do the coal ovens, and then
Fuck that shit.
it's
Wood.
and but if when I was
You don't have the smoke from the coal.
But when I was in Naples, I went to the Antica. I can't remember the Neapolitan Antica pizza place. It's the place in Eat, Pray, Love. Apparently, that's supposed to be like the best pizza place on earth or something like that.
Blah blah.
And they do the big. And when I
I
walked,
should not say blah blah.
when I walked in, their wood fire. It was just literally like it's jet black in their oven. There's so much smoke coming out of the wood, and they have so much wood in it. There's so much intense heat,
But all that smoke is rising to the top.
It
It's not
is,
really
yeah.
contacting
It locks in with some of the oils from the cheese, and you get some of it in the process. You get a little bit, and you get a little bit on the wood ash from the floor of the oven. But you get a big flavor in a really fast period of time, and it's also bright. The product that they're doing was delicious. And I always say I have a lot of favorite pizzas, right? It's not like
There's
one.
so much. I love deep dish.
Yeah,
oh my God.
There's exactly Detroit. There's a lot of really good pizza. And the pizza I make is my favorite for me, for eating, and also the other thing I would say is just frequency. I'm eating that pizza a lot. I still eat about a pizza a week of my own pizza, and then usually
Because that's so fucking good.
I just went out for pizza literally. Was it 2 days ago? I went out for pizza 2 days ago. So I still go out and eat pizza all the time around
Where'd
Seattle.
you go?
I went to Niles Peacock down there in Edmonds. I'd never been there before.
That guy used to work at Ipula.
Oh, did he really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I had his.
He's a cool guy.
He seemed nice.
Yeah. I still have yet to try his stuff.
Yeah.
But Tori tells me amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So good shit. He's got good stuff.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was not exactly my thing.
Okay.
That was not his pizza's not exactly what I was expecting it to be.
Okay.
But I'll tell you the place.
What was it?
It's a pretty place. There is.
Like, what did you get? Like, what?
I got was pizza. It was called like Hunt and Gather, I think.
Okay.
And it's sausage and pepperoni and black olives. And the one thing that I was surprised.
So what's the gather?
He cooked it on I'm not sure.
The olive.
Oh, there's tomatoes on it. There's chopped tomato.
Okay.
Raw chopped tomato. There's a place called Lupo, which is in Fremont, that does all wood fire, all sourdough pizza, which is absolutely insane. And I was expecting it to be like that.
My language.
His is a little softer and a little bit more bready.
Is he doing wood fire also?
It didn't taste like wood fire to me,
Okay.
but it may have been. It was on a screen. It was cooked on a screen, or it had been par baked. So it was just not my thing. But once again, I will tell you that he is. I know people love that pizza, and it is incredibly busy, and it's a beautiful. I really liked the way the place looked.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
I really liked the interior.
The setup is great.
Place. Yeah. And exactly, and he's got the awards. So who am I to be critical?
He's got awards?
He won some Vegas pizza thing for like best pizza.
Okay.
At one of the Vegas pizza tournament things.
Huh.
He has all the awards on the wall.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he's doing something right. It's just once again these things you know this, you get you eat this stuff and you have strong opinions. So it was once again not. I God bless all these people who try to do this industry and make $1 because it is bad.
So going back, I wanted to clarify this because
Yes.
I'm trying to educate myself too. Like
Okay.
the Neapolitan, right?
Yeah.
You said it gets baked in 90 seconds, so the
Yes.
cheese doesn't get any coloration. It just sets.
It'll actually. So what it'll do?
So
It's
it'll
funny.
remain-
It's so hot that the top sometimes will get a black blister on it, but it's just started to break its shape.
But none of it's like brownage.
No, it doesn't. It hasn't dropped.
Oh.
So how I always describe this is like
So just starting
with
to melt.
Neapolitan. It's like it's like the old cartoon of a pat of butter on a pancake, and it's got the puddle.
Okay.
So you've got the it's still a little bit of a form, but then there's like some melting underneath.
So no coloration.
So just a black spot, and it's started to
melt.
break. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of times when you get Neapolitan pizza, you'll see it'll be a matrix you'll see the pieces of cheese.
Okay.
And you'll see this red sauce.
Okay.
In the
okay.
gaps.
Now I'm starting to imagine what we're talking about.
And this is what I always say with my pizzas. Like when you cook it, this is what I talk to other people who cook
yours
the
gets
pizza.
color on the cheese.
Yeah. So what we'll
I
do
love that shit.
is when you put the cheese on it, you're thinking when this melts, where will it fill?
Yeah.
And I like it to look. I like it to not have dropped where it turns into a fluid. I like it to have just gotten to where if you bite it, it'll pull, or your teeth will go straight through it.
Yeah.
I don't want you to hit the cheese and it to still hold. It should be soft enough that your teeth go clean through it.
Right.
Not to the point where your teeth have any resistance.
I haven't had any Neapolitan pizzas, I guess.
Yeah, like Tutti
But I do love the Neo-Neapolitan.
I mean, yeah.
I love the stretchy cheese. I love the New York. Oh my god.
Sure.
The greasy fucking New York.
Yeah, the old cup.
slice. I
cut
want
and
that
barrel.
grease. And when
barrel.
fucking people dab that grease with a napkin, it just fucking breaks my heart.
I know.
I want
Goodbye flavor.
I want that in my heart.
Exactly. Your heart wants it and doesn't want it. Yeah. So
doesn't
true.
need it.
It doesn't need it.
Wants it.
But it does. The heart wants it. Yes.
But yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a long time with the pizza.
Yeah.
And it's still, but once again, that's the great thing is that it's literally endless. Like it's there's an endless amount of variation, and that keeps it interesting.
So the thing that I always knew, but my fat assness, my inner fat kid always said, fuck that shit, was overloading the pizza with cheese.
Yes.
And I always knew should not do it.
Yeah, but you want to.
But I want to, and I
'Cause you
always
like
did
cheese.
it until recently.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're going wrong here, because then, like you said, you pick up the slice. Bloop,
Yeah.
You fucked.
Yeah.
Unless you let it get too cold. Cold pizza is delicious.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
But you're slapping the
when
blanket
the
back
pizza
on.
is
the
hot,
cheese blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the pizza is hot, you want it to keep shape.
Yeah.
I want it to.
You want it's always everything is right.
Yeah.
What's the experience? You're right.
the
And it's
fucking-
not just taste. It's everything.
And there's balance, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I've started to learn that it's not always about
More.
overloading it
No.
with the stuff you love.
Yeah.
Putting just enough to where it gives you enough of what you love, and still you can pick it up with one hand and
Yeah.
and
And
it
then
still
once again,
stretches.
and if you don't put all that cheese on the pizza, then
You
you
can
can
put
have more
other
cheese
shit.
in your salad.
Yeah.
Or you can have a cheese course. Or
you can have other
Yeah,
ingredients on
exactly.
top.
then you can have some, calamari or some fritti or
But
you
no,
know, eat a whole nother thing.
I don't know how long you've been mastering those meatballs, but I always tell everyone this fucking best meatballs
Thank you
I've
very
ever
much.
had.
Thank you very much.
I don't know where you got that fucking meatball recipe.
No, that's just me.
How
That's
long?
all this stuff is 99% of this stuff is just me. It's just sitting. I've had the time to sit and cook. The one thing that I've had time for that a lot of people in restaurant industry have not had time for is all those years I wasn't in a restaurant working 60 hours and coming home exhausted. I got years of working with food with very little, feeling like I have to go to bed 5 minutes later. Yeah. And I got that. That was a gift my wife gave me, so I got years of
It's an amazing gift.
So it was. It's fun. It was fun. As an education, I got a really slow education at my own pace, which was an incredible gift.
You get layered education.
I did exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was nice. Yeah, so I got lucky like that.
Super beautiful,
Thank you.
So what are the since I've left?
Yes.
What are your new dishes?
So the interesting thing about pizza is I've always said our place, we are in kind of the suburbs, and people, a lot of kids, a lot of older people and a lot of kids, and so we have a pretty large menu for a pizza place. If you look at most pizza places, there'll be like a lot of especially the places that I try to emulate that are in New York. Yeah. It's 4 pizzas and 2 salads. And, that's it. We do not have the populace for that. So we have we have the chicken, we have the sandwiches, we have all that stuff.
Which is genius with the fucking sandwich bread.
Well, the thing with it is...
I love it.
Thank you, so do I. We don't do a lot of variation on the menu except seasonally. So when we get a lot of veg and stuff, we will, once summer starts and you can get a bunch of Washington State produce, we'll do a lot of, we do that watermelon and tomato salad. But like lately, most of the stuff that we do that is odd and interesting, I think, is ice cream. We do all our own ice cream. So I just made an ice cream called Sakura ice cream, which is pickled cherry blossoms. So you take, so my neighbor has a big cherry.
You and your fucking pickles, Tony. That's another thing I always tell people. I said, this guy has 13 at any given time, 12 or 10 to 13 different pickles.
So you could,
and those fucking carrot pickles. Oh my God.
So we take a bunch my neighbor has a big cherry blossom tree. Yeah. And you pick all the cherry blossoms and you pick them before they open. So what you want is the bud to just begin to break.
Yeah.
And you pick them then, and then you put them in salt and sugar for 3 days, and then you shake it all off, and then you put them in rice and plum vinegar for 3 days, and then
you put the lime in the coconut.
Exactly. You drain it all off, and then that pickling liquid, you make ice cream with it, and it tastes like.
So you're talking about. You strain
all the solids out,
sugar,
all the solids out,
and what's left over.
This liquid, all this rice wine vinegar and plum vinegar, and it's super pink.
It doesn't become too salty.
No, well, so you shake off a lot of the salt and sugar. You take
then you strain it, right?
You take all that stuff and then you.
Are you talking about pureeing the blossoms?
No. You keep the blossoms whole. Okay. You shake off all the salt and sugar you can. You pickle them, and it is salty. But you don't use that much.
Oh, you're talking about you pickle them and then use that brine.
Pickle the brine, yeah. Okay, the brine is the ice cream flavor.
I was thinking like you use the liquid from the maceration of the salt.
No. All that does is draw out.
Yeah. That's okay. Exactly. So I was like, that's gonna be too salty.
So then it is pretty salty. Yeah. But once you put it into the ice cream,
the brine is
the brine.
Okay.
And it turns pink, and it's like what it reminds me of is like adult Strawberry Quick. It has this Strawberry Quick. You know Strawberry Quick?
You're gonna have to explain that one.
Yeah, Strawberry Quick. So it's one of my favorite flavors.
What is that?
Strawberry Quick. Quick is a drink thing that you mix into milk. There's a chocolate one and a strawberry one. And as a kid, it has a little rabbit on it. And it's a powder, and it makes like chocolate
Oh
milk.
no! Yes, back
There's
in
a
the
strawberry
90s,
flavor
I
one.
remember.
Yes.
Yes.
So I used to ask for
The
it.
rabbit in the
Yes,
cartoons.
yes,
Yeah,
the rabbit.
And he used the fucking straw that looks like
Yes.
one of those chocolate thingies.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it tastes like this really interesting strawberry flavor.
And he would drink the fucking thing, and his ears would twist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes he'd find a space. He would, like a helicopter. And so it's and then I take the cherry blossoms that are left over and I grind them up and I make shortbread cookies out of them. And so it's got these little pickled, so it's all this kind of milky strawberry flavor. So we're making those. Just made nettle pesto that went with the burrata. The next one is spring pea.
Nettle
and
pesto.
Yeah, nettle pesto, which is awesome.
Classic, like with pine nuts? Or?
So actually no. I always use hazelnuts. Because hazelnuts in Washington State.
That's my favorite pesto.
Yeah.
Hazelnut.
Hazelnut. I agree. I don't ever use pine nuts. And then
fuck yeah, hazelnut
hazelnuts,
pesto.
man.
Fuck
the
yeah.
best.
Fuck yeah.
So and then the next one I'm gonna make is a spring pea pesto with mint.
Yes.
That'll go with that. This is the kind of stuff I do now. Just a bunch of goofy. I do the goofy stuff. We have a new chef. His name's Jack, and he is going to be doing kind of the operations.
What do you mean? You're not in the kitchen?
No, I am in the kitchen. I'm in there 5 days a week. But what I do is mostly the ice cream, the pickles, and then all the weird little seasonal stuff. And like new pizzas, I set up all the new pizzas.
So you're doing more of the design.
I'm doing more of
design.
Exactly. I don't do I'm trying to step away from ordering, inventory, and the managing of staff. I'm still what I'm called now is executive chef.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, because I'm 57. Man, so.
Tony.
Yeah.
You've paid your dues, I think.
I think I have.
Time and time again.
So I'm still there. I fill in for when people
in
are
terms
sick
of the quality of stuff you've done, and the dedication, I think that pays for itself.
Yeah, rhubarb pie. I'll do rhubarb pie soon. I'm gonna be doing my rhubarb pie.
I was about to get to
Yes.
that, and I guess now is the time because there's certain things that I've always thought that should not exist on this planet, and rhubarb was always one of them.
Yeah.
I tasted it. Then I got introduced to it in school.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck this fucking thing. I hate this thing. It should not be there. Until you came along with your fucking custard rhubarb pie. Holy fucking changed my world fucking pie.
And what I've been doing lately,
that made me, but like, okay, you put custard with anything.
Exactly, it helps. Like goes a long way.
But
rhubarb needs some fat.
It really worked with the sweetness of the custard and the tartness of the rhubarb. It just made me a fan.
Thank you.
And I don't know if I can eat rhubarb in any other way, but your fucking pie. So have you always been a baker, like in desserts? Like, because from tasting your fucking desserts, it like in my brain, like this guy's been baking all his life.
I have not baked up, but like I said, like when I worked at the store, I worked in the bakery for almost a year at Larry's. So I got a long time working.
So so working there.
I worked in a bakery.
So does that mean you were baking all the stuff?
I was baking. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then.
So not just breads, like pastries and shit too.
A little bit of everything, and then we also went into, like I say, when I had my time with my kids, and I started making their. The birthday cakes and pies and stuff like that. And then I also got obsessed with making, hamburger buns and pretzels. And I just started getting interested. We were talking about my induction oven. I just started working on baguettes, which has been super fun.
So did you get the baguette racks?
Yeah.
With the holes?
Yeah. But I'm going to try to do them freestyle. I'm trying to build a wood fire oven in my backyard. so I can do baking in the backyard because that's what I'd like to do. And I've done sourdough. I mean, I've done a lot of baking.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of shows.
I come home from working, and even in the past 5 years I have, but even more lately, I come home from cooking at work and I cook all the time. I don't like to stop. I like to just constantly. I am a person who has trouble sitting still, and idle hands are the devil's work. So I try to stay busy, and that's what a lot of my time is. I usually have 2 or 3 projects that I want to get better at doing. And one of the, like I say, like I'm a huge gardener. I think that one of the great things about working with plants is if I live till I'm 100, I will not know everything that I could know about plants. And same thing as cooking. There is no
same thing with everything.
There's no end to, there's always something you haven't thought of or done.
That was one of the best lessons I took from cooking school, is that the chefs and the people that claim and say that, oh, they've achieved the thing, and they have no more to learn. Those
what are you just giving up?
Those are the fucking retards. Like there's never that you cannot learn more.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much you know, how much you've learned.
Yes.
There's always more.
There's always more
to be learned.
And that's my thing with like that what's it called? Cooks Illustrated, where they'd say like, this is the recipe for X. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
There's
just a marketing thing.
There's never one right answer. It's not mathematics.
No.
That's where.
And even with math, there's never, you can get to the same answer with
multiple ways,
equations.
Yeah. So that's where cooking is like an art. Yeah, it is. It has aspects.
It's not like an art.
I think of it as craftsmanship. But there's artisan.
There's definitely artistry in food.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not exactly art.
Yes.
But it can be.
Yeah.
It can be.
It certainly can.
It can be exactly art.
Yeah. It's
you look at some of these Michelin star chefs.
Yes.
That's all they're doing.
All they do.
Fucking floating balloon.
Yeah.
The one guy.
I have some.
You watch some of these chefs' tables.
I've seen some of that stuff.
Yeah, and they fucking break shit onto the fucking table.
I think so. That seems like people are bored to me.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah. But like the difference is, it looks like art.
Yes.
But it also tastes delicious.
Yeah, that's why it's a craft.
To me, I could never.
Sure, you could.
I don't think I have enough patience to read enough and study enough to where I want to get there.
Yeah.
I could,
yeah.
But like, I like the more homey, the more fucking braising, the more fucking peasant shit.
Yeah, not circus art. Some of that stuff is circus artsy stuff to me, and I don't understand it. Although I have to admit, every once in a while, I do like to go to those places.
The fucking comfort.
I do like to go on occasion to a goofball restaurant, and they're kind of fun. But
I've gone once.
Yeah.
Okay, I went once in Frederick, Maryland. And it was great. I went to Volt.
Okay.
To Brian Voltaggio's place. Yeah, and it was fucking an experience of a lifetime. It was delicious.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I was not very excited about was the fact that we had to go to McDonald's afterwards because we were still fucking hungry. Okay? If you're feeding me 18 courses, at least fill me up.
I will tell you, I
want to get full if I'm paying $300 a head.
When we went to the French Laundry.
But you're not going to leave that place hungry.
We certainly didn't. Not only, so I always tell the story that my wife and I were there.
But do you know the story about the French Laundry?
I know.
How he started?
Yeah. yeah.
It was a
It comes
fucking
covered.
garage
Yeah,
that he fucking bought,
Yeah.
and then built it from there.
Yeah, he's an interesting fella, but we went there
It's
about
fucking amazing. He's
15, 20
some
years
people say
ago.
he's the master chef of the world.
He's very impressive.
Yeah.
But he's a little, yeah. He we went and as soon as they found out about half an hour, 45 minutes in, that we weren't industry, because this is before I had anything to do with the restaurant.
I see.
The waitress.
So this was what, back in the grocery
almost
store?
20 years ago. Yeah, this is a long time ago. We went there. My wife and
Or
I
was
saved.
this
We
when-
always wanted to go.
Was this after the grocery and when
This is.
you
I think
were
I was still working at the grocery store
Yeah,
actually.
Okay.
And oh no, it was just after. I just quit. It was about a year. I quit about a year before.
So this was the raising kids phase.
Yeah, this is when I was raising kids. It was
Yeah.
just the beginning. And my wife and I were
Cooking
there.
the baby food,
And the waitress found
which
out.
is fucking amazing, man.
The waitress found out we were non-industry.
So I'm sorry.
She sits down with us.
May I interrupt for just
Yes,
one second?
absolutely.
With baby food,
Yeah.
is it the same? Like I'm not trying to like.
No, this is a great story. I love this.
I'm not trying to like, but like, is it the same with like pets where you can't season baby food as much?
So what we did with the baby food, I'll tell the baby food story.
Because like
So-
I know with dogs, like you can't put any salt in it.
We didn't.
Is it the same with baby food?
We did not put anything into it. It was just whole vegetable and fruit.
So you're not supposed to season that either.
No. Well, I don't think so, but we were just making stuff up as we go along. We weren't
you
reading
weren't,
any
like,
books.
You weren't going off of anything.
No.
You were just like
we were just
saying,
like, you got to feed the kid. And so we looked at Gerber and we'd opened up a couple jars and I said, this doesn't look right.
okay.
And I was working still in produce. And one of the things when produce at the place that I worked at is anything with any flaw got thrown out. And at the time, there was a big scare about lawsuits. So we did not give any of it to the homeless or anything. It was all food banks.
What
or
do you
anything.
mean? Big scare with the lawsuits?
You could not give away produce. You couldn't give it to people.
Oh, okay.
So there was actually, at the store I worked at, there was kind of a pretty big homeless population that was in the neighborhood. And I had told them, they all knew me. And they could come in and for $1, I would give them a huge sack of anything that was imperfect. So they could get us, like, I had these huge sacks, like 20 bananas with dark spots on them. They could get for $1. And people would come in, and some of them would have hot plates, and they would bring me soup and stuff that they had made. So what I started to do was just take boxes of this stuff home. I'd get strawberry papaya was one of my kids' favorites, mangoes, and I would just process them through a food mill.
Oh.
And then I would put them in ice cream trays.
Not even a processor.
No, just raw.
Food mill.
Raw, food mill them, and then put them in ice cream trays.
Well, why not?
Or not ice cream.
Why not
ice cube
food
trays.
processor to make it faster?
Oh, I'd have known one. I was too broke. I was broke back then.
Well, and let me just tell you, it's not. That's even better because food processor goes fucking fast.
Yeah.
And the speed of that kills a lot of the fucking nutrients.
Which makes sense, yeah.
And
hand mills
with
are
the
classics.
food mill, you're going slow enough to where it's almost like masticating.
Yes.
And
it also catches the skins, like so some of the skins they would get, but you'd peel all the way down to the point where the kid wouldn't choke.
yeah.
And so we'd run it through that. We'd put it in ice cube trays, and then we'd freeze it. And then I had these sacks of frozen ice cubes of peas, sweet potatoes, mangoes, and all their food was just in.
And then
ice.
just like defrost per batch.
You put it in a little bowl. You bring it out in the morning. It'd thaw, and then you'd feed it to them. Put little oats in it or something.
That's fucking awesome.
And we did that for both the kids for years. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
That was during that time. And then, so when we did the laundry at the end of the meal, they sent us home with boxes of stuff. They just loved us. Because so many people go there to try to steal ideas and stuff, and we were just there trying to
Fuck
enjoy
that
it.
shit, man.
I know.
Be
it's a bunch of-
inspired, but like just eat the food.
There's a lot of corporate-y kind of.
Stupid.
Even back then, they were starting to get to be where it was like a place to have business meetings, right? So, or maybe it was just the night we were there. They loved us.
I doubt it.
They were so nice to us. They were so nice.
Hell yeah.
And then the other kind of goofy.
I mean, they become a Michelin star place.
Oh yeah.
Because they're that way with everyone.
Yeah.
Like you.
It was crazy. I always remember there was a ham broth guy. That was always the thing.
Oh,
with
what?
me. There was like just like you say, 18, 20 courses, and one of the courses was some vegetable from their garden, and then a guy came through and he poured ham broth on top of them. And I was like, man, like in every single time it was a different person, right? Each course,
What?
like right? Each course had like 2 or 3 people at the station doing just that one course.
That's crazy. So
there was one guy, and his whole job all night, ham broth. And I was like, wow, this is just thinking like that's a thing. Yeah, we probably had, we had 18 courses. We probably had 20 different people come by the table that night. Right? Each one had one job.
That's service.
Yeah. No, it was crazy. It was fun.
It's inspiring.
It
That
is.
kind of shit is inspiring.
It is, and it's sweet. I mean, you think that there's that many people that are that into it. It also gives you a little bit of a charge. That there's that much love, right, for the food.
You get a spark from it.
Yeah,
Like
you
I
do.
don't care who you are, even if you're a freaking hedge fund guy.
Yeah.
You go to a place like that, you're like,
Hopefully.
holy shit.
Hopefully, hedge fund guy gets it.
I feel like the most fucking evil person on earth could go there and be like, holy shit.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I don't know about the most evil person on earth.
I don't know. I couldn't say, but
They like well done steak.
I would like to think.
I do too. It's a good thing to think.
All right, Tony.
Thank you very much. That was fun.
This has been so
That was
amazing.
fun to talk.
Hopefully, like we can do it again.
Okay, I'd like that. Have another person come in, and then
It's been great time, man. I really appreciate it, and
My pleasure.
thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Goodbye, everybody.
Oh Lord, I wanna be manipulated, mind controlling, inundated. I will seek the revelation, make my life a celebration. I wanna be the change I'm seeking, manifest the words I'm speaking. I refuse to be imprisoned. I will make my own decisions.